7 minutes after 7 o'clock. This is the Situation Room. Ndu and Dennis with you this morning, holding fort and leading on conversations that we should be having day in, day out. Our live streams are up on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. We say a hearty welcome to our audiences this morning on KTN. It's getting closer and closer to Mother's Day. So let's be real for a second, shall we? Mums, they are superheroes, aren't they? And they say not all superheroes wear capes. From sunrise to well past bedtime, they're doing a million things, nurturing, guiding, feeding, comforting, and somehow still remembering where you left your charger because you're definitely going to make those demands. So this Mother's Day, we're giving it up for all the mums, the stylish ones, the soft-hearted ones, and yes, the comfy ones too. Woolworths is helping us celebrate her in the best way possible, with 30% off on all women's knitwear and sleepwear now until the 11th of May. So whether your mum lives in her signature knit cardigans or swears by her soft pajamas after a long day, Woolies has something that's just so her. And the best part? These pieces aren't just beautiful, they're built for comfort, elegance, and that effortless Woolworths quality. So if you're thinking of what to do for mum this year, why not let her unwrap a little warmth and softness? Head to your nearest Woolworths store and give her something that says you deserve to relax in style. It's Woolworths, the difference. And as we do every Thursday, we're getting into a Justice Thursday conversation. Over the last couple of weeks, or rather the last few weeks, we've been looking into tribunals. Tribunals as forms of access to justice, whereby there are certain matters where we are saying that you don't actually have to take them into the courtroom. And that's the role that tribunals play. So this morning, we're getting into yet another option in terms of what those are, and that's the Capital Markets Tribunal. Joining us in the hot seat this morning is the Honourable Paul Lilan, who is the chairperson of the Capital Markets Tribunal. Honourable Lilan, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Happy to be here this morning.
Great to have you here. We're glad to continue, Justice Thursday conversations where we get a chance to look at some of these things that people don't know about and to really open them up. So we're very happy that you're in the hot seat this morning. Yes. As you are in the hot seat, as we normally do, we would like you to hear today's proverb. CT normally goes around the African continent looking for proverbs. He's not here today. Mm-hmm. So Dennis is going to share the proverb. He'll tell you where it's from. And then we'd like you to, as you normally do, interpret what this is and what it would mean to you.
But our proverb of the day today comes from one of the countries from the north, that is Tunisia, whose capital is Tunis. And a fun fact about Tunisia now has around 12 million people, and they gained independence from the French, pretty much. So it's a country that speaks Arab and French as well. And the famous sites include the ancient city of Carthage, which as well is tied up with during the colonial times. But that notwithstanding, it is a country that enjoys, there's a capital called the couscous capital, and all this is about the cuisine, the foods that Tunisians get to have. They also have the souk markets where people go enjoy the ornaments, the fabrics, the clothing that makes Tunisia what it is today, a great country in the Maghreb region of the continent. And our proverb today from this country says, a lazy one who sleeps well pays the price. A lazy one who sleeps well pays the price. What do you make of that?
A lazy one who sleeps well pays the price.
Yes.
Interesting. I think it would mean the one who sleeps most will not get anything in the end. So the price is that you don't get anything. So the converse of it is that those who work hard, those who are not lazy, and those who don't sleep get something. And those are the people who succeed. And they achieve, and they are the ones who make impact in society and in their own lives.
Indeed.
Well put.
Yes.
Very well put.
Thank you.
Great to hear.
Yeah, I see why you call this a hot seat.
And it's yet to begin.
Yes, yet to begin. It gets hot as I brace for things.
Yeah. That's it, exactly. So how about we turn up the fire even now and start getting into it?
Thank you, though.
So Capital Markets Tribunal.
Yes.
When we hear capital markets, usually we're just thinking economies, we're thinking markets, we're thinking currency, buying and selling trading, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to put tribunal at the end of it.
Yes.
And then find out what exactly is this tribunal all about.
Oh, why do we have a tribunal? This capital market sector is highly regulated. We have at the apex of the regulation framework, we have the Capital Markets Authority. And this body is the one charged with registering the players in the market, setting standards and ensuring compliance, and monitoring what happens in there. And in the process, it makes decisions. It makes very serious decisions that have legal implications, that impact on rights of those players. And whenever those players are unhappy or adversely affected by those decisions, then they have a forum where they can appeal and they can be heard. And this is where the Capital Markets Tribunal comes in. And because of this being a sector that is fairly specialized, so there is need to have a specialized team also of people with expertise in the field who can then listen to these grievances and make decisions. So we listen to grievance from the market, those who are affected by decisions of the regulator, and then we pass judgment. Also, the regulator can come to us if they feel that they need the tribunal to make a decision on one matter or the other.
When you talk about the market and the players in this sector, who exactly are we looking at?
A very good question. Many people ask, what really do we understand by capital markets? I think to make it pretty simple, without making it sound more complicated than it already is, think of buying and selling of shares. That would be the simplest way I can illustrate for now, because a lot of people understand about shares in companies. So those companies that have shares and are listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, they will be, that is now the infrastructure where they sell and others are buying. And so that basically illustrates what we mean by capital markets. But in a nutshell, really, when we are talking about capital markets, this is where there is trading of financial assets. And financial assets, you'll be thinking of equities, and I've given an example of stocks and shares. You are also talking of bonds, and many people are familiar with the infrastructure bonds. That is where they are sold and bought. And you can go on and talk about collective investments. You can talk of other classes of financial assets, such as real estate investment trusts. And I can go on and talk about more and more of those. But those are the examples. Yes, and maybe I could add that in this ecosystem, where you have first the regulator and then you have those who provide the infrastructure for trading. And one of those is the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And then we have the Central Depository Securities Corporation, which is, we call it CDSC. And that one is like a registry where after you've sold your shares, and then it is registered there, it is transferred to you officially, just the way you do the lands registry. When you buy land, it is transferred to you, and there is a register kept at the lands registry, and there is a document called title deed that you're given there. In this case, once it's registered, and then you become a shareholder, and previously you'll be given a hard copy share certificate, but now that will be electronically reflected. I'm giving that as an example, but there are other players too, like stockbrokers. We have fund managers. We have investment managers, investment banks, which help to facilitate all these tradings. Others give advice. Others act on behalf of others. Like the brokers would act on behalf of the ones buying or even the ones selling. Yes, and all these people must act in a way that allows order, fairness, and efficiency. And there has to be a high level of transparency and adherence to certain standards so that we have confidence. This market thrives on confidence and stability. So the regulator plays such a big role in ensuring that happens.
Okay.
So even the people who are leaders of these regulated agencies, stockbrokers, investment banks, companies that are listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, there are boards of directors, there are senior management, are people who are first vetted. They must meet a certain threshold, and they must behave according to those standards throughout their time as they serve in those offices. And whenever they fall below that, then the regulator comes in. Now, once that regulator comes in, if there is a dispute arising out of that, and then Capital Markets Tribunal
Comes in.
comes in.
What kind of cases would come before the tribunal? What would happen that would essentially require somebody then to make a complaint or to state a case that would then be brought before the tribunal?
I can give you a few quick examples. A company, say a bank, intends to expand its operations and says, look, how do we get money? So they say, let's go to the public. And the easiest way to go to the public is go and list at the Nairobi Securities Exchange so that you can offer shares. You're familiar with what people are talking about, initial public offerings. We had that from companies such as Safaricom and other companies. So they will go there and they have to make certain disclosures. And there's a document called prospectus where a lot of information is provided according to the requirements set by the regulator. And the regulator will approve that information and then go on and many other steps. Finally, they are listed. But, on the basis of that information, the public, of course, gets the confidence and puts in their money, buying their shares. And it may turn out later that certain information was not accurate, or there was some non-disclosures that were material and made the public actually invest.
Okay.
And it turns out that it was not accurate enough, or there was some non-disclosure. And someone now affected by that may come complaining to the regulator. Yes, and the regulator will put the people concerned, either the directors or the CEOs, and any who are affected after some investigation. We'll put them through some process of hearing, and if they are found culpable and guilty, certain sanctions will be imposed on them. They could be fines, and sometimes huge fines, running into millions of shillings. They could be barred from ever running any public entity for some years. And then because of the severity of some of those sanctions, they may then feel this is either too severe or that they were not given a proper hearing or whatever else they feel aggrieved. So they will come to the tribunal and we'll listen to them.
Okay.
That is one example. I could give other examples. After these funds are raised, let's say through a public offering, the company that was floating this and is responsible had probably said, we'll go and invest in ICT infrastructure and do onward lending to borrowers out there, say in microfinance, for example. But then they end up getting the money and maybe share it as bonuses for staff or something. They take it and then nothing, the value of those shares will plummet because there's no profit, there's nothing. So the aggrieved investors will then come to the regulator. Again, this will be put through some process, and any dispute that arises from that may end up in the tribunal.
Okay.
I think that is another one. There is maybe insider trading. Okay. You've probably heard also of that. If you're a shareholder and people have, if certain people have some information that something is about to happen that will materially affect the value of shares of a certain institution. And that information is just known by a few people inside. And they take advantage of that knowledge to either buy or sell very quickly. You know, that can distort the market. Now, if people like that are found to have behaved that way, and then again, they can be subjected through a process, which may end up again coming to a tribunal.
All right. So one would want to ask, if I have information about how the market would perform in a few months, say,
Yes.
and I take advantage of that information to make my situation better, one would ask, why is that wrong? Because then again, it's information I'm privy to that would make my situation better. Why is it a crime? And why would that something that would end up at the tribunal?
Well, there is a code of conduct for insiders, for players inside. And it's more like if you are working in an organization and there is certain information you're privy to, which the rest of the public is not privy to, you can then take advantage of that for your benefit, because you have a fiduciary duty to act in the best interest also of those you serve. And you're not allowed to use that information to your benefit.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So here's a situation where we have companies and we have cases that are in the public with regard to investigations that are taking place because of what some companies have done, and the matters that the regulator have made decisions to go investigate and whatnot. And there are matters that these companies would then bring before the tribunal to have that checked. So the tribunal here is seen as the mediator between the regulator and say the business offering or the company that is trading. In such instances where a case comes to you and you rule, say, to uphold what the regulator has done, do you see a situation where others decide to go to court, or the matters are just handled by the tribunal?
Exactly. Thank you very much for that as well. Let me then put again in context where we belong. First, under the Constitution of Kenya, judicial authority vests the courts and then tribunals. So one understanding is that we are judicial. We are offering a judicial service, and that brings us to this discussion about the judicial services and access to justice. And we are very keen that Kenyans get access to justice in a way that is much better than before. And allow me at this point to invite the public to join us on Monday. We are in Kisumu. The entire judiciary is in Kisumu, led by our Chief Justice, as we go towards closer and further and deeper realization of our vision of accessing justice, bringing justice closer to the people. Please come to Kisumu. All the tribunals will be showcasing what they do. They will be answering information from the public and being able to show them how easy and how quickly, how efficient, and how we can use the specialized nature of the services that are available at the tribunals. So back to your question, Dennis. Once a decision is made by this tribunal, the law provides that any aggrieved party, either the Capital Markets Authority itself, if we make a decision that they feel is not favorable, is not fair, so to speak, if they are aggrieved in one or another, that maybe some aspect of the law was not considered, or the other aggrieved party, the one who had brought the complaint in the first place, is dissatisfied, they have all the right within 30 days to go to the commercial court, High Court. That's the High Court. They can appeal to the High Court. Yes, and from there, if they are also not satisfied with the outcome there at the High Court, they can go to the Court of Appeal. And even from there, they can still go to the Supreme Court. And there are cases that have gone that far. Yes.
Okay.
There are a number of cases that have gone all the way. But during my tenure, of course, we are fairly new. We're just about 2 years old. Of the decisions that we've made, we haven't yet seen any that has run that far.
That
I think there is one appeal that has just been filed, but of all the ones that we've decided, we've not had that opportunity to hear what our superior courts would say of the decisions we make. Yes.
So sometimes in court, you would have what we know as class actions.
Yes.
That groups of people would then come together who have the same issue, more or less, be represented by somebody. And it sounds to me like some of the cases where you speak of, maybe there's been insider trading, maybe there's been, a number of things that could possibly happen that puts folks at a disadvantage.
Yes.
When it comes to selling stocks, for example.
Yes.
Could people then come together also at the tribunal, the way they would do before court, who have a similar issue that needed to be addressed?
Yes. A good example would be a group of shareholders, especially the minority shareholders. You probably have this one large, big company listed at the stock exchange, securities exchange. Currently, there is and maybe one or two big shareholders use their muscle now to push through certain decisions. They may want actually to push out the minority shareholders and have a complete control of the company. And because really a lot of decision making in such companies is largely driven by the weight of shareholding. The vote will be based on shares. Now, you could have just a handful of people with a lot of shares and so many people with very few shares. Now they fall into a category of minority shareholders. So when they feel that the decisions being made by the bigger shareholders will be disadvantaging them in one way or another, they can come together as shareholders and file an appeal together. And so we've seen one or two of those where quite a number of minority shareholders come together and file an appeal. Yes.
Okay. So the tribunal comes in place as a means of making sure that cases are fast-tracked, that the backlogs in commercial courts are handled easily and speedily. Just what change has the tribunal brought with regard to ensuring that these cases are fast-tracked and that the aggrieved get justice that they need and deserve at a faster pace?
Thank you very much. One big advantage of going before tribunals is first the expertise, because sector expertise. So all the tribunals are populated by people who have expertise in a particular sector. So that's one. Number two, because it focuses only on that sector, and then it will be possible to handle the cases that come before the tribunals fairly quickly. Most tribunals, in fact, as a policy of the judiciary, should dispose of each case that comes before it within 180 days. Now, when you look at that compared to how long you take in the normal courts, which has a lot of cases and backlogs, you can see the advantage in taking your matter to tribunal rather than going to ordinary courts. Another advantage with the third one would be we try to make it simple. We try to avoid the technicalities of procedure that you see sometimes in courts, which may even appear to be an impediment to access to justice when it becomes too complicated. But here, we make it a lot easier. We would try and look at substantive justice as much as we can. Of course, within the law.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a Justice Thursday conversation. The Honourable Paul Lilan is the chairperson of the Capital Markets Tribunal. We're having a conversation around the role of this tribunal in enhancing access to justice. We'll come back and look at, where government plays a role in all of this and if they actually do, and what folks can actually do if they don't know where they find themselves. Perhaps the tribunal can be of help. We'll come back and can discuss that in a short while. At 29 minutes to 8 o'clock, we'll take a quick look at weather and traffic, and we'll be back. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room.
for Africa's next hitmaker. Next Superstar is here. Premiering May 3rd exclusively on Rainbow TV+. Buy a DTT StarTimes decoder for only 1,399 bob or a DTH for 3,199 shillings to enjoy unlimited entertainment. Join judges Size 8, King Kaka, Motive, hosted by Amina and Butita on Next Superstar. Renew your subscription on DTH Smart Bouquet or DTT Basic Bouquet to enjoy unlimited entertainment. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Mr. Lando, why did you have to hurt Paco?
He stole my letter!
I know you well, Paco. You're hiding something from me.
Right here. Corpse means the same as dead man.
Mr. Lando, can you still remember what the corpse looked like?
I do. Yes, ma'am. Of course.
Here. Is that what the corpse looked like?
When I have back pain, I reach for 2 tablets of Panadol Extra for fast relief of strong pain like headache, toothache, muscle pain, and I am finally released from pain. Try Panadol for fast and effective relief from strong pain. Now available at an affordable price.
Join us every Saturday as we celebrate learning,
A hyena eats more meat more than a lion. A hyena eats 14 kgs of meat. A lion eats 10.
talent.
I've also played in Sapling for Women in Kenya.
Educative,
Hello, that's how you say hello.
entertaining. Here on your #1 Premier Kids show.
And on Gong Road, traffic is starting to build as it is on Lower Kabete out through towards Spring Valley. We are in traffic hour morning. Let's try to keep things moving and talk on Spice FM KE on X, #The Situation Room. It is at 25 minutes to 8 o'clock. The Honorable Paul Leland is our Justice Thursday guest this morning. And we're looking at the Capital Markets Authority, rather Tribunal. And even as we do that, yes, the authority comes into play here some way or another. One question that has come in on our socials that I want to combine with a question that I have is that does government play here at all? That can someone who would feel as though they're an aggrieved party representing representing Kenya, for example, and its people, come to the tribunal with an issue on how government, for example, has or has not spent money? Does this play here at the tribunal at all in terms of a petition?
Not quite. That will be the jurisdiction of the High Court.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So such cases don't come before the tribunal?
No, they don't come before the tribunal.
All right.
Yes.
So what is the nature or what is the manner of then bringing cases before the tribunal? What do you do? Whom do you go to? And where does this all begin? Because we hear from other tribunals that the tribunal steps in when first point of contact has, like, for example, if I have a problem with petroleum, it would have gone through IPRA and they would have had that conversation and we're not able to agree, then it comes to the tribunal. Is this the same here?
It is very much similar, that there has to be a body established by law that has made a decision already. So in this case, it would be the Capital Markets Authority, which would have made a decision. And someone or a party and a company or individual is aggrieved by that decision. That's then they come to us. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So often it is more often than not, these are grievances that are resultant from a decision that has been made by the Capital Markets Authority.
Yes.
So who is being brought before the tribunal? If the Capital Markets Authority has made a decision where there was insider trading, for example, by a particular broker.
Yes.
They've made the decision. Who am I bringing before the tribunal?
Largely, the constant number one respondent, because they are called respondents, is the Capital Markets Authority.
Okay.
Yes. Usually, that is the one which has made a decision that the other party is dissatisfied against that decision. So it could have made a decision against a stockbroker. It could have made a decision against any of those intermediaries. It could be a funds manager, for example. It could have made a decision against directors or a director or a chair of a board or a CEO of one of those listed companies. And that aggrieved party now comes to us complaining against the Capital Markets Authority. And sometimes they add maybe the Securities Exchange or any of the other where they feel should also have something to say in this process. Yes.
You see, the justice system in the country has for a very long time been seen as being this big boy who's unapproachable, expensive. And one would want to ask, how is the tribunal any different? Because then again, even if I've brought, I am a minority shareholder, that means I am bringing the authority itself to the tribunal. How affordable is it for me? How do I file the same?
Thank you very much. Very, very simple. We made it very, very simple. And now you can do it online from the comfort of your home. You file, and actually you're given 15 days within which to make that complaint to the tribunal. And there is a format that is provided under the law, the Capital Markets Act. There is a schedule there which provides a format of a simple memorandum. What you need to say, the decision was made on this day. I was not happy because of these different reasons. And the relief I'm looking for, what I would like this tribunal to decide is to overturn that decision or to scale down the fine it was too much, or to find that the investigation was not adequate, or that they proceeded on some wrong premise, something like that. So you do that and add to it a statement. You just give a summary statement of what happened and add any documents that you think are helpful to support your case.
So the authority can make a decision. The Capital Markets Authority can make a decision and say, for example, this broker was within their right to sell shares, whatever, or advise otherwise. I can come in and say, actually, you know what? I've gone at a loss. I don't think it was a right decision that you made. And because of this, I bring my case before the tribunal. Can a broker also come before the tribunal and say, the CMA made a ruling against me, and because of this, I've had to repay money or, you know, have my license withheld kind of thing? Can they also bring cases before the tribunal?
Precisely. Those are the kind of cases we deal with. Yes, a license has been cancelled or suspended, and a broker says, "Now I'm out of business. I can't. That was not right. This and this rule was violated." So they come to us, and we listen to them. If indeed we find the capital markets was wrong, we order that the license be reinstated. If we find that they were wrongly fined, we also make appropriate decisions. But if we find that CMA was correct and they followed all the procedures, the evidence was well considered, the composition of the panel that made the decision at capital markets was proper, and then we may not disturb. Or if we think they were too harsh, we may also adjust. And so forth and so forth. So I hope I've answered your question, Andrew.
Right, you have. In that case, then, the sensitivity of this is that
Yes.
usually money is involved,
A lot of it.
right?
Yes.
People have lost money.
Yes.
So if I'm coming before the tribunal for you to make a decision on a
Yes.
decision that was made,
Yes.
I would hope that if I came before the tribunal, you would make a decision that my money to be returned to me.
Sometimes
Would that be...
Sometimes you do that.
Okay.
Now there is something called investor compensation fund. That is also another safety net in this market, so that those who, especially the vulnerable investors at the lower level of this chain, who do not have all the muscle to fight through all this, in the end, if they are found really to deserve some compensation, there is some money in that fund, which normally is a pool that collects the fines and penalties from those who have violated the rules within the sector, and so some of those who need compensation can get the money from there. But otherwise, those who have taken money which ought not to be theirs,
like they have stolen.
it's like they're stolen. They just ask to return.
Okay.
They have to return the money, and if they have used it wrongly elsewhere, they have to find a way of returning that money. Yes.
So there is the aspect of trust that is created out there in terms of, if I come to the tribunal, I will get justice, and I'll get justice at a faster pace. So in terms of how our players in the sector are viewing the tribunal, how are they looking at it?
The feedback we get actually is that there is a lot of confidence in our tribunal, and we get this feedback through engagements during open days. We had one not long ago, and many of the lawyers who appear before the tribunal, this is the opportunity, a fairly open session for people to talk about their experience. And they are happy with the way we engage with them, timely response to their questions. We have all our sittings on schedule. Whenever we say we have to deliver our decisions, we try to do that on time. Sometimes because of the volume of the paperwork and the complexity, and sometimes a little bit of research may be required, and it may not be delivered on time. But most of the times, we make sure we deliver on time.
So over the 2 years that you've been operating and the responses that you're getting, have we seen an increase in matters being filed before court?
We are actually, because for over 3 years, the tribunal was not functional. It had not been properly constituted. So most of the litigants went to the commercial court instead, and the files that had been there for the file before or just stuck. And so a lot of the work that we had to do was to clear that backlog. And I'm happy to report we finished all of them. And so now we are dealing with the new cases. I must say also, I think from where I sit, that the quality of decisions that are being made at other levels seem to be really good, so that those that require us to intervene are now not as many as before. But we think also it is important for the public to be aware of this service that we offer, so that instead of going to other forum, that which ought to come to the tribunal, they would then be aware that we exist and we are ready to serve them.
So capital markets are unique. They're unique in the sense that you will normally find them around your hub of business, your hub of the economy and things like that. So usually they would be restricted to capitals or big cities within the republic.
Almost like the word capital.
Isn't it? So you would find that they would be restricted to that. Because my question was going to then be around, do we find that people around the country then can access this tribunal? But then I thought to myself, is there a need really beyond the business outlet where you would be involved? But then I thought further, I'm morning for thinking,
Yes.
that anybody who would spend a shilling, for example, to buy shares, as we've seen happens around the country, then might be in a situation whereby they might need some help at some point if things were undersold, oversold, oversubscribed, things like that.
Yes.
So what access do they have if they're not around the hub of activity?
And that is now brings us to really the meat of this conversation.
Yeah.
The question of access to justice.
Yeah.
For a very long time up to now, we would only be found here in the city of Nairobi, where we have our tribunal at Upper Hill. There is need now, and cities are growing. Kisumu city is growing, and other cities. So the tribunals within the judiciary are found a way of moving closer to the people in a way that we share facilities. So you don't have to have your own room, your own office. We share, or courtrooms we share. Some staff. Courts assistants, research assistants, and administrative staff, we share them. So this model is now being rolled out for the first time outside Nairobi. We already have shared services facility in Upper Hill, which is working very well. Now we are replicating that outside the cities, and we are now going to Kisumu, and people there can now access our service through there. Investors in financial sector, in financial assets, are not limited to the people in Nairobi. We find them all over the country. And to insist or to leave them no choice other than to come all the way to Nairobi for their disputes and their concerns to be addressed, I think it would still be limiting access to justice. But when we go closer to them, and that would be something that we really hope can be helpful and improve their lives ultimately. And we are not just looking at the people who can afford the high-end lawyers. This is actually an area where the very highly complicated litigation attracts the top-notch lawyers in town. But there are also the other ordinary shareholders and investors in this sector who are not in that level where you can hire very expensive lawyers. They can come to us simply, file their cases in a simplified way. The filing fees is standard. It's not more than 10,000 shillings. So it would really be affordable. And if you can hire a lawyer, well and good. But if you cannot afford a lawyer, they can still come directly. Yeah.
So there is a question that one of our listeners is asking, Agola is asking,
yes.
Does the tribunal have investigators to look into various matters brought before them?
No, we don't investigate. We are an impartial adjudicator. We really operate like a court.
Okay.
We want to be neutral and independent. Come, present your case. We listen to you. Give evidence. Argue your case.
Yeah.
And if we are satisfied that what you are saying meets a threshold for us to give you a decision, that's what we will do. Now, the area of investigation would have happened before, especially by the regulator.
Yes.
The regulator does a lot of investigation. It has its investigation officers, and it also enlists support of other government agencies, DCI and other investigative agencies. Some of the infractions can be very complicated and requires high-level investigation, including people who check on cyber and people who would follow up detailed transactions through banks and all that. And there's a lot of process that follows. Now, us as a tribunal, we are not involved in that. The Capital Markets Authority, as the regulator, would deal with that.
Okay.
Yes.
How busy is the tribunal?
Oh, I'll tell you, yes, every week we have something to do. And not just every week, because we are part-time, we are not full-time. The members of this tribunal, we are 5 of us, myself and 4 colleagues. All are busy doing their other things on day-to-day basis.
What's other things though? Sorry, before you go to how busy you are.
Yes.
So is it that, you're handling cases within court and then you work on matters to do with the tribunal later, or what are we looking at?
What we do, because membership of tribunals, largely, most of them are part-time.
Okay.
It's not full-time.
Yeah.
Chair and members are part-time. So you would be, of course, doing your other work elsewhere. Those who are lawyers will be practicing law somewhere.
Okay.
Those who are financial experts will be doing their bit wherever, and so on and so on. So we have a schedule where we meet every Thursday, and most of it now we do online. And then whenever clients request, that is the litigants, request that they need a physical hearing, because maybe the material they are going through or the cross-examination of witnesses would be such that you want to see each other face to face, then we can organize for a physical sitting.
Yeah.
But in between, particularly the chair, you'll be looking at administrative issues, just being sure that files are being prepared in good time, the listing, course listing, liaising with the court administrator and the court assistants. And then we are also coordinating the writing of judgments and rulings, which is now another very heavy part of our work. And this one we do outside the normal sittings.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I almost want to ask if the tribunals are a bit of a more sophisticated system when it comes to then dealing with matters justice. But you talk about writing of judgments.
Yes.
Is it digitized in any way? And I ask this because one of the issues that we see slowing down the court process is the digitization of processes, whereby we are still having magistrates and judges writing their judgments or writing, case information, which takes time, and not within the court, but takes time that, they could be writing out the thing for, God knows how long, and asking things like having court stenographers and things like that, people who are taking down this information. Do we have that technologies coming into play at the tribunal stage yet?
It's good. It's good you ask that. And one of the major pillars of the social transformation to access to justice framework under the judiciary, led by our able Chief Justice, is technology-enabled provision of services. And there's a lot of digitization that has been going on in the judiciary. I will tell you, in the Court of Appeal now, everything is online. You don't need to carry your big bags all the way. No, you just address the judges right from the comfort of your office. And there is a transcription service. There is a center where all the proceedings that go on online through Teams platform or any other platform is transcribed. Probably not as yet real time, because a team would have to just look through to just make sure it is cleaned up, and it will be available within 48 hours. Yes, that is already there. And then the judicial staff who are quick in learning and adopting to these technologies would also deploy. You see, you don't have to keep writing everything. You can record, and it can be transcribed. There are applications that do that, and many judicial officers are already deploying that, and that is making our work very easy. But what really has been directed as a policy of the judiciary is that we all embrace technology. And so, there is an e-filing portal. Even ours, everything is filed through the portal. We no longer receive hard copy documents. And our judgments we deliver online. And once we've read it and we've signed, we send it online and they access it.
All right. Yes. So there are players in the sector who pretty much do not have proper information about the tribunal, right?
Yes.
And one would hope that this information gets to them.
Yes.
So what is your tribunal doing to ensure that the successors, that the work that you're doing gets to them in a way of ensuring that every single Kenyan who feels aggrieved knows where to go, that the tribunal is there to serve them?
Yes. We are really happy that Spice FM is here, and this is part of that process, sensitizing the public, getting them to know what service we offer. We also have the service or open days. Sometimes we do and have exhibitions. So last year we went out to a number of court stations. We did in Nakuru, we did in Eldoret, and there was a time a team went to Embu, riding on other events to just have an exhibition desk there, an exhibition booth there, where Wananchi can just come and ask questions and be informed what services are available. So we use whatever opportunity we have just to sensitize Wananchi of this service that is available. Yes.
Okay. What's the hope that looking into where we have a world that business happens not just within the country, but you have cross-border business, that the tribunal will also start to be able to sit cases that involve somebody who may be domiciled in Kenya with, some kind of work that they did outside? Or is it just representative of what happens within the borders of Kenya?
Oh, thank you very much. That the world of business is now going global. It's intertwined. So one of the cases we handled, the aggrieved party was addressing us from London. Yes. So we listened to the case. He's telling us how it went on, and the documents are posted, and we are running through. And in the end, we are able to communicate with each other very well. We also had someone addressing us from South Africa. Now, what does that say? It says we are already having cases by people who are not necessarily resident here, who are not even necessarily citizens of this country. So these, and taking into account that our capital market is fairly well developed in this region comparatively. It is the hub of the region. And it is still very important for us to position it even more by ensuring that there is real confidence, that even the disputes that arise from there are dealt with very quickly, decisively, and also in a manner that is fair and just.
So very quickly, in a few seconds, so does the tribunal then have jurisdiction outside of Kenya to then be able to handle cases that might crop up in Tanzania or DR Congo, for example? Okay.
No, we only have jurisdiction. In fact, we have, in Tanzania, they have their own.
Yes.
And we had the opportunity actually to interact with them when they came for a learning exchange here.
Okay.
And just to share the experiences. So they have their own. We have our own here.
Okay.
The jurisdiction really is what happens within Kenya.
Okay.
If the investor is aggrieved, is a non-Kenyan, but whatever happened was in Kenya, we will have jurisdiction.
We'll have jurisdiction.
But what happens in Tanzania, what happens in Uganda,
they handle.
Or US or not, yes. But we may, sometimes we borrow learnings. So the more advanced ones like in Canada, in Australia, so we look at their decisions and see
how to handle
what can help also in resolving our own disputes here.
Very interesting. Yes. And I'm glad to know that, it's good to hear for all of us that there's tribunals whereby you don't have to be stuck in the trappings of a system whereby there's so many cases and there's so much to be done. That there are options in the tribunal. Honorable Paul Lilan has been our guest this hour. He's the chairperson of the Capital Markets Tribunal, and we've been looking at the role of Capital Markets Tribunal in enhanced access to justice. Thank you for being here for our Justice Thursday conversation this morning.